To begin creating the two linkage components in the design, I need to create a placeholder for the first component where all of the geometry will be stored in the design. To do this, I'll right-click on the assembly name in the browser and then select New Component. Now, I'll make sure this component is activated before creating any geometry. Now I can create the sketch profile for the linkage. I'll first use the intersect sketch command to copy the edges of the upper and lower pins into the sketch. And then I'll use the line command to begin sketching the profile. I'll skip ahead to the finished sketch. And once the sketch is fully defined, I'll stop the sketch. Now I can create the 3D geometry from this sketch. To make it easier to select the sketch profiles, I'll isolate this component by right-clicking on it and selecting Isolate. Now, I'll enable the Extrude command, then select the sketch profiles, set the direction to symmetric, then the distance to 8 mm, which will go in each direction. Make sure it's set as a new body and click OK. To bring the other components back into view, I'll right-click on this component once again and select Unisolate. Next, I'll create the holes in linkage by removing the sections that intersect with the pins. To do this, I'll use the Combine command. I'll choose the linkage as the target body, then the two pins as the tool bodies, change the operation type to Cut, then make sure the Keep Tools option is selected, and click OK. To finish up the geometry of the first link, I'll add a few fillets to the component. I'll enable the Fillet command, then select the 4 edges at the corners, and the 4 edges along the angled section. Set the radius to 5 mm and click OK. Now, the linkage geometry is complete. Now I can duplicate this geometry in the design and create additional components. To do this, I'll activate the top-level assembly. Now I can create another instance of this linkage by mirroring it, which will connect the same 2 pins on the other side of the base. In order to do this, I need to create a mirror plane. I'll enable the Midplane command, then select the 2 outer faces of the pin, and the plane is created. Now I can mirror the linkage across this plane. I'll enable the Mirror command, change the pattern type to Pattern Bodies, then select the linkage and the mirror plane, and click OK. Now both linkages are included in the design, which completes the 3D geometry. But how is the geometry organized in the model? If I scroll down to the bottom of the browser and expand the last component, I can see that both linkage bodies are stored in this location. I want these 2 bodies to be stored in separate components. To do this, I can create a new component at the top level, and then I can drag the second body into this new component. Now the linkages are separate components, and I can rename the components Linkage Left and Linkage Right.